I watch a lot of educational YouTube content. Like, a lot. And a thing I hear very often when watching these videos is that there are more stars in the universe than grains of sand on Earth.
There are more stars in our universe than there are grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth.
Are there more stars in the whole universe or more individual grains of sand on planet Earth?
Meanwhile, the cosmos is rich beyond measure. The total number of stars in the universe is larger than all the grains of sand on all the beaches of the planet Earth.
The first time you hear this factoid, you're overwhelmed by the size of the numbers for both of these statistics. The next few times you hear the idiom, you marvel at the math that some dedicated and intelligent people had to do to calculate this fact. But after a few more times hearing this same expression repeated, you start to think about just how terrible of a comparison it is. The human brain didn't evolve to understand big numbers. Numbers and counting fall into a category that anthropologists call cultural universals. Cultural universals are things that exist within every human society across all of time. Some other examples include personal names, music, cooking, and jokes. Cultural universals are a big part of what some anthropologists and culture critics might call the human condition. But while having some way of expressing numbers can be evidenced throughout human history, the scope of those numbers is widely different in different places. In fact, human society existed for tens of thousands of years before anyone got around to defining the concept of zero. Countless societies have existed perfectly fine without having a word to describe having less than one of something. When numbers get too big and start to move into the realm of scientific notation, humans begin to lose their ability to comprehend what those numbers mean. Scientists and mathematicians try to use comparisons to make big numbers more relatable. One of my favorite examples is that 1,000 seconds is less than 17 minutes. 1,000,000 seconds is about 12 days. But 1,000,000,000 seconds lasts over 32 years. 1,000,000,000,000 seconds, by the way, is more than 31,000 years. You and I think of trillion as just that number that comes after billion. But, in reality, it is 1,000 billions put together. And each one of those billions is 1,000 millions put together. Millions, billions, and trillions are all numbers that our brains did not evolve to be able to understand. I recently told my 3-year-old niece that we will, quote, be at Grandma's house in a minute. We weren't going to be there in a minute. It was going to be more like 15 minutes. But she doesn't know what 15 minutes is. She has no reference point for comprehending that amount of time. For a toddler, 15 is a really big number. What she does know, however, is that just a minute is something that adults say when something is about to happen. So I tell her it'll be just a minute in hopes that she might not ask me if we are there yet for a few brief moments. Someday, as her brain continues to develop, she will understand how long 15 minutes is. You and I, however, will never understand what 1,000,000,000,000 seconds is. It is beyond our capability. According to science writer David Blattner's book Spectrums, there are about 7.5 times 10 to the 18th power grains of sand on Earth. That is 7,500,000,000,000 quadrillion. Written out, it looks like this: 75,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,0 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. That's 17 zeros if you lost count. The fact that there are more stars in the universe than this is impressive, but in the end, meaningless. My brain cannot understand what 7 quintillion of something is. It definitely cannot understand something even bigger than that. The answer to how many stars are in the universe? A lot. A whole freaking lot. What I can understand, however, is 1. Specifically, 1 pound of kinetic sand. If you haven't played with kinetic sand, you should find a way to get your hands on some. Literally. I don't know what makes kinetic sand act the way it does, other than that some chemist somewhere added some chemical in an amount that makes the individual grains of sand have a much stronger attraction to each other than normal sand. When you shape it in a mold, it holds for a minute before melting into a rounded puddle that only vaguely resembles what you originally created. If you hold it loosely in your fingers, it slowly melts through them in a slimy sci-fi kind of way. My niece, to whom I lie to about time on car trips, loves kinetic sand. At 3 years of age, kinetic sand has the perfect amount of longevity for her attention span. She can constantly reshape and destroy the sand into simple molds and be just as mystified that she has made a square or a circle or a triangle every single time. She will play with it for minutes measured in the handfuls, which, as anyone with a toddler will tell you, is a remarkable amount of time for her to be focused on just one thing. As an adult, kinetic sand is fun for about 3 minutes. It's just long enough to see everything it can do and feel it slink through your fingers a few times. Its impermanence fails to keep our interest for very long. Watching a child play with kinetic sand, however, provides nearly endless enjoyment. Seeing my niece's pride of creation and willingness to pick up and start again when her work has melted into a pool of nothingness is a reminder that life is both impermanent and something that we create with our own hands. That lesson is worth more than the sum of all of the grains of sand on Earth and all of the stars in the universe. I give kinetic sand 4 out of 5 stars.
Yay!
Whoa, that's a good star.